Hi everyone, welcome back to the Early Show with me, Pastor Jean I. Now before we get on to today's topic, I would first like to thank the sponsor of today's sharing who wishes to remain anonymous but would like to dedicate their contribution towards all beings' liberation from suffering and to the attainment of compassion, wisdom and true happiness. So this week, we're going to be talking about something a little bit different. We're going to be talking about cryogenics and zombies. How does Buddhism view cryogenics? Is such a thing possible, and can such a thing happen? Now, some background first. How did this conversation even come about? Many years ago, I asked our guru, His Eminence Semtuku Rinpoche, a question about cryogenics. So in case you don't know, cryogenics is when you freeze a human body with the intention of reviving it later. So I asked Rinpoche how that could work. I mean, once we die and our consciousness has left our body, it will have taken rebirth within 49 days. So when that frozen body is thawed and then revived, what consciousness goes back into it since the original one has already taken rebirth? So Rinpoche told me that that's a very good question, and it is possible for cryogenics to work. But the caveat is that you just don't know what consciousness will inhabit the original defrosted body. But the point is, Rinpoche said that it is possible for something like that to happen if we realize that our body is just a vessel which can host any consciousness, so as long as the necessary karmic conditions are met. Which means, yes, zombies can exist. And there are certain regions in Tibet where zombies are very common, so common in fact that even the houses are built with low-hanging main entrances to stop zombies from coming into the home. Now, to explain how all of this is possible, Rinpoche talked about how there are certain practices, for example within the Yamantaka set of tantras, where you're taught to eject the consciousness out of the body into another vessel. Why would you want to be able to do that? Well, if you think about Tibet, it's a very vast region, and sometimes it takes days, maybe weeks, and sometimes even months to get from one point to another. So, when a teacher is giving a discourse or transmitting teachings or practices that you want to receive and you can't get there in time, there are practices where you can eject your consciousness into, for example, a passing bird and fly to the location where the teachings and practices are being transmitted, receive them, and then go back to the original body and have your consciousness re-enter. The caveat, however, is that the original body should not be disturbed in the time that your consciousness has left, or you may have trouble re-entering. Rinpoche explained that the reason why people wish to develop abilities like this is so that they can remain in remote, isolated places in order to focus on their practice. It is not because it's fun or it's a game to be able to eject one's consciousness out of the body. That should not be the end goal or the end result that we're aiming for. Rinpoche said that all of these abilities, such as ejecting one's consciousness or the ability to generate one's own body heat in a practice called tumo in Tibetan, is to support our practice in order to develop the real attainments, which are patience, kindness, wisdom, generosity, concentration, effort, and so on. So how would something like tumo be helpful? Again, in the remote, isolated areas of Tibet where serious practitioners like to go so that they won't be disturbed from their practice, it can get very cold, or there isn't much vegetation that they can burn in order to stay warm. So having the ability to generate our own body heat in those circumstances is very, very useful. So I repeat, the end goal isn't the ability to fly or the ability to walk very, very fast or to keep ourselves warm or to never have to eat again. All of those abilities are tools to aid us in developing the real attainments which will actually bring us closer to enlightenment. So when we have those abilities, we shouldn't get distracted and get stuck on them and think, oh, I'm attained now. I don't need to practice and I don't need to try so hard anymore. On the contrary, you should try harder and you should practice harder now that you have these tools which will help you to progress much faster in your practice. So that's something for you to think about. That's it from me for this week. Once again, thank you very much for joining me, and thank you again to the sponsor of today's sharing. As ever, please stay home, please stay safe, and don't go out if you don't have to, and go and get vaccinated if you haven't already. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks' time on the 3rd Sunday of this month. Have a great week ahead, and as ever, please don't forget to be kind to each other. Bye!